All right, today we are diving deep into what can only be described as a political earthquake in India, the 2025 BIHAR election. Wow, it wasn't just a win, it was a total reshaping of the political map. So, what exactly caused the ground to shake so violently? Let's get into it. So, what exactly is a political earthquake? I mean, what does that even mean? Well, it's what happens when the very foundations of the old political order just crack and crumble. And in Bihar's 2025 election, the tremors were so strong that the old certainties were completely swallowed up by something new and frankly unstoppable. You probably saw the headlines, a landslide victory for the National Democratic Alliance, the NDA. But you know the numbers? They only tell you what happened. The real story, the much more interesting question, is why? How did a political formula that worked for decades suddenly shatter into a million pieces? Let's break it down. Okay, so to really get what happened, we've got to go back. We need to understand the old lay of the land. For decades, Bihar's politics was built on this one powerful and what a lot of people thought was an unbreakable foundation. And that foundation, it was known as the Mahila equation, a really formidable alliance of the Muslim and Yadav communities. This was the absolute core vote bank for the main opposition party, the RJD. For years and years, this coalition was the bedrock of their political power. It was their fortress. But then 2025 happened, and a totally new force just appeared on the scene. A new coalition that didn't just play on the same field as the old guard, it created a whole new game and completely overwhelmed them. And this new force, we're calling it the Mahila equation. That stands for Mahila, or women, and EBCs, the extremely backward classes. Now, this coalition wasn't built on those old identities. Nope. It was built on something new: welfare, gender, and a sense of aspiration. This was a massive shift in political strategy. This slide really lays it all out, doesn't it? It's a tale of two equations. On one side, you have the old MY equation, totally rooted in traditional identity politics. And on the other, you've got the new ME equation, built from the ground up on ideas of governance and welfare. This right here was the central battle that defined the entire 2025 election. So let's pull this new ME equation apart and see how it works. We'll start with the M for Mahila, or women. Their role in this election was, well, it was nothing short of a game changer. Get this, 10%. A full 10% higher voter turnout among women compared to men. This is huge. Women didn't just show up to vote, they turned out in massive numbers, creating this powerful new voting bloc that wasn't tied down to the old caste lines. And this chart really drives that point home. I mean, look at the gap. In a lot of districts, it was even bigger, sometimes as much as 20 percentage points. This wasn't just a small trend, you guys. It was a tidal wave, and it absolutely swung the election. So what was behind it? Well, it wasn't an accident. This was the result of years of really targeted welfare policies. Things like free bicycles for schoolgirls, which was massive. A statewide liquor ban? Controversial for sure, but really popular among women. And especially this Dashazari scheme, which gave 10,000 rupees to women to start their own businesses. All of this helped build and solidify this crucial new vote bank for the NDA. Okay, so that's the M, but what about the E? The EBCs. If the women's vote was a tidal wave, then the extremely backward classes were the absolute X factor in this whole thing. I mean, you just can't overstate how important this group is. Look at this. EBCs make up a whopping 36% of Bihar's entire population. 36%. You simply cannot win an election, let alone a landslide, without a huge chunk of their support. They have immense political power. And here it is, the number that sealed the deal. A staggering 58% of the EBC vote swung to the NDA. This shows just how incredibly successful the ruling alliance was at winning over this absolutely critical voting bloc with a message of welfare and stability. So you've got these two massive forces, women and EBCs. But how did the NDA stitch it all together into a winning strategy? Well, it really came down to two things: building a bigger coalition and telling a better story. This table says it all, really. Look at how wide their social umbrella was. They didn't just hold on to their traditional base of upper castes. They brought in huge support from the Paswans, the Kushwahas, and of course, those EBCs we just talked about. They built a coalition so broad, it just diluted the RJD's old MY base. And the story they told? Well, this quote from the campaign trail just nails it. They framed the whole election as a simple choice. A Dashazari Chunav, an election about welfare and getting 10,000 rupees, or a Kada Sarkar, which means a government of the gun, a very direct shot at the opposition's old reputation. And this whole narrative was built on three really strong pillars. First, you had the personal brand of the chief minister, Nitish Kumar, who's known as Sushashan Babu, or Mr. Good Governance. Second, they kept reminding voters of the so-called Jungle Raj, the rule of the jungle from past regimes. And third, the massive appeal of Prime Minister Modi and the promise of a double-engine government, basically having the same team in charge in the state and at the national level. So what's the big takeaway here? When you put all of these pieces together, the women's vote, the EBCs, the broad coalition, the narrative, it's clear this wasn't just another election result. This was a fundamental reshaping of the entire political landscape. You know, the best way to picture it is literally like tectonic plates shifting under the ground. For decades, you had the MY plate. It's still there, it's still significant. But in this election, the new ME plate, this coalition of women and EBCs, rose up and just pushed it aside. It completely overwhelmed it, reshaping Bihar's politics for a long, long time. And that's the big question we're left with, isn't it? Has the old politics of identity been permanently replaced by a new politics of welfare and governance? Is this ME equation the new reality for Bihar? I guess only time will tell. Thanks for tuning in.